Wow. Whoa, what's up, guys? How's life? Just want to say I've officially given up on ever getting a golden Wii. I understand I'm just not built for it. Or Jader's rigged my account against it.
Hello! Wahoo! I have just eaten so much spaghetti. It's a me, Bootleg Mario. I just wanted to let you know that this video was not made for kids. Repeat, this video is not for kids.
The Mario Brothers! But these don't look too terrible. In fact, I would argue that they actually looked pretty good. So, what exactly am I talking about here? That would be these Mario Brothers. So, the new Mario Bros. Movie is out. It's a very fun film. I did enjoy it. But, in 1993, there was a terrible live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as the titular Mario and Luigi. Sorry, as Mario and Luigi Mario.
Turn the sounds back on in the intro video, they were so good. People were complaining, they said they were too abrasive.
This is the real Super Mario Brothers movie!
Can I just say, that was a Godstinny movie, okay? And anybody that says otherwise is a fucking hater. Not this dog shit movie. This, what? What? This is a travesty. Okay, I saw this movie. This is going to be my new Parasite, isn't it? It was good. This was a good movie. I don't regret watching it at all. And I always like the Michael B. Jordan performances. I think are always good. But I feel like this is super overrated. This is like insanely overrated. But it was good. Like Parasite was good. But also I think super overrated.
Movie people! I think now it's a bit of a cult classic. I actually did enjoy it when I was younger. I had it on VHS. But it is very, very strange if you have seen it. But these toys are awful, and we will go into why as we compare them one-to-one with the new toy lines that have come out around the new film. Alright, so first up, we got Mario with the action plunger, lunger, and tool belt, baby. Here is the main man himself. You probably think he says such things as, wahoo! And, let's go! But little known fact, his favorite saying is actually, nobody touches my tools. Oh, that is classic Mario. I guess.
Little known fact. Mario was all about trusting his tools and using his tools in the original Super Mario movie. Excuse me. No, what is all this? No! How do I do the before date thing? They have a whole thing where they're trying to mess the stuff up in the basement, and then Luigi's being disrespectful, and Mario's like, a good plumber's always got to trust his tools, okay? I don't remember what scene it was. I don't think it's this one. Is it this one? Oh, look, and he puts the wrench in the tunnel to stop the Goombas. Like, did we miss it? Oh my god, my 90s feelings. Holy shit. Oh, maybe he already flipped them.
So you can cut this whole Manhattan Times news clipping, put that on your wall or whatever. And check out those snazzy boots. Okay, now I'm not going to actually open these up because I do cherish these toys in their packaging. But if you look down the corner here, official Nintendo licensed product. Now, the seal may not be black and white anymore, but it is very similar, and it is there on the modern products.
Official Nintendo licensed product.
Alright, now let's see what this thing can do, because it does have a...
Hi, it's me, Chris Pratt, from the Mario movie. I play Mario in the Mario movie. Let's
Okay,
go.
that...
Whatever.
This is not a real toy. Wait, is this real? If so, it's kind of epic. Wait, what?
This thing can do, because it does have a...
Hi, it's me, Chris Pratt, from the Mario movie. I play Mario in the Mario movie. Let's
Okay,
go.
that...
Whatever.
That's... What?
Please go see the Mario movie. It's in movie theaters now. My name is Chris
That's
Pratt.
just... That's just Chris Pratt talking. Is this a joke?
Here is 2 lines they cut from the film. Hey, Luigi, do you think I can hit the gritty? And of course, my favorite line, nobody touches my fucking tools.
What?
Wait, is this just like an AI thing? Is it? I can't tell now.
There is no way.
Oh my god, I think I'm gonna make a huge pizza.
Okay. Okay, let's try Luigi.
Hi, this is Charlie Day, and I play Luigi in the Mario movie.
No, I'm just kidding. There's no speaker box. He does have realistic eyes, though, so that's a feature. These figures are just posable, or more like a doll.
Why would you link a video where the guy's just trolling us for 5 minutes, Kane? Real plumber here. The tool used was a spud wrench, more commonly used by iron workers and pipe fitters aligning bolt flanges, but typically wouldn't be carried by any plumber. Mario was an incredibly adept plumber, and oftentimes his work would cause him to utilize his skills as an iron worker and a pipe fitter. So that's where you're wrong, dipshit. My podcast co-host betrayed me. Jesus, Hutch. 4 hours and 41 minutes. God damn. What's the lowest rated movie you still unironically enjoy? Mine is Christmas with the Cranks. I don't think I ever saw that. I feel like I have one that gets commonly brought up. It didn't get like super low ratings. Oh my god, this one got really low. I think I think that the Hook movie didn't do well with... Damn. I don't know why critics didn't like this movie so much. I thought this was a super cute movie. I think I rewatched it like a couple years ago, and I still thought that it was a super cute movie. Also, what's the name of this guy? Something Robinson? Oh no, Tim Allen. I was thinking Tim Robinson. It's Tim Allen. Was he just in a fuck ton of Christmas movies after that one Santa Claus movie? What was the name of it? That was a good movie, right? Didn't everybody like that? Or was I just a kid? $1994, Jesus. Oh, 73, okay, yeah. Can you read some of the reviews for Hook? Hook never sets sail. This Peter Pan never learns how to fly. Hook, featuring a grown-up version of the legendary... Oh, that was a good one. When is the hearing for the transcript to be released? I don't know why you keep asking me this. I can't possibly know. I have no idea. I was hoping it would be released 2 weeks ago. I don't know. It's whenever he gets to it. I have no idea. I don't know what you want me to say. I can't possibly know the answer to that. There are 5 or 6 fully briefed motions that we're waiting on. Listen, they're busy. Okay. They're doing judge things. Do you know how hard it is to judge things constantly, to walk around and pass judgment on so many things? sure they're busy. And now they've just they're filing to amend their complaint to add the Abby MC stuff to it. So now it's another thing. There's just motion after motion after motion after motion after motion. So many motions. New video about pirate software.
A bit of a note before we can
Oh, this guy. Ooh, this is pirate software's worst enemy.
continue. Most of Jason's hacking claims are mainly stories, with him being the only source of truth for a lot of them. So for most of this video, I'll just be explaining and teaching about the terms used and how these things generally go, instead of making judgments like the previous 2 parts. Well, maybe a few minor judgments. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's start going through it. Let's start by bringing up the old VX Underground tweet that Jason responded to, and recheck his YouTube short on his experience while he was at Blizzard.
I was one of the guys sitting there pulling down every bot that worked for every MMO that we worked on, everything at Blizzard, grabbed every single one of those, pulled
We
it
have to watch part 1 and part 2 first. We already have watched part 1 and part 2, dipshit.
out into assembly, grabbed the code key from it, removed the polymorphic, found a way to fit it into Warden.
Okay, so from this clip, we got a lot of stuff to go over and cover. First, Jason worked on anti-cheat at Blizzard, and he dealt with bots. Plus, he did reverse engineering on the bots too, based on his comments. He also worked with Warden, which was Blizzard's anti-cheating tool that was directly integrated into games like World of Warcraft. The way Warden worked was, while you were playing the game, Warden would be running and using native API function calls from your system to collect data on your computer. This would include things such as what programs you had open while playing the game. It would hash the data it collected and periodically would send it up to Blizzard servers, where they would try to determine if you were running any known cheating programs on your system while playing the game. It also has some malware detection built into it too, apparently. It could detect stuff like keyloggers and warn you if your system had been affected. It probably has a lot more functionality and abilities, but we'll need real Blizzard employees to talk about those details. Back to the short comments. Jason also pulled down tons of bots, pulled them all out into assembly, grabbed their code cave, removed the polymorphic, and then fit all this back into Warden somehow.
Wow.
Now, the issue with this clip is, while all these terms make sense on their own kind of, together this ends up sounding like weird nonsense he made up. This is why the VX Underground Twitter account is calling Jason out in the tweet. Also, for anyone that doesn't know,
This YouTube Twitch game bro says he's been a hacker for 20 years and did anti-cheat stuff at Blizzard. He said he pulled it out into assembly, grabbed the code cave, and removed the polymorphic. What the fuck is this guy talking about? It could just be that VX Underground is just not at the advanced level of code understanding that our good friend Jason Thor Pirate Software is.
what VX Underground is, it's a site that possibly holds the world's largest public collection of malware source code, samples, and papers. This is an incredibly popular site that many real hackers and security researchers use to find, study, and explore viruses. Plus, the people running the Twitter account of VX Underground are almost all going to be people within the field that actually really know their stuff. Now, let's go and explore what the code cave term means from the wiki link Jason has posted as a response. If we look at the opening line on the wiki link,
You'll never... It's just hard to understand this unless you have some expertise in an area, but there will never be anything as funny as the real life Dunning-Kruger. If you run into some guy who's like, oh, like, do you know how to hack? And the guy's like, I've been a hacker for 20 years. I blah, blah, blah. You people like Thor. And then you'll run into these people and it's like, oh, like, are you like a good software guy? Do you, hack or do anything or whatever? And he'll be like, not really. I don't really know fucking anything. Like, it's, I just don't get, I don't know. It's just like, there's a lot of weird shit. And it's like, oh, like, can you show me something you're working on? It's like, oh yeah, so like I've opened up like 450,000 different things, and I've kind of like made 750 different tools, and I'm kind of look at this, and I'm not really sure how this one works, but it seems to get the job. It's like, oh, okay. I feel like the easiest real life analog to that kind of like Dunning-Kruger thing is whenever you ask somebody, this is really common, like in college for like that age. If you ask somebody like, oh, do you speak Spanish? It feels like there are like two types of people. Sometimes you've got somebody who's like, yeah, I'm actually pretty good at Spanish, and they took like Spanish 4 in high school, and they can kind of like, they know the words, but like they don't sound fluent. And then you have people who are like if you ask my mom if she speaks Spanish, my mom will be like, not really, but she's a fluent Spanish speaker. She just doesn't know like technical terms or whatever, so she'll say like, oh, I it's not that good. And yeah, I feel like that. I think this counts as Dunning-Kruger. People of low competency overestimate their competency. People of high competency underestimate their competency. It's just funny to see that play out sometimes. Why the change of mind in researching Epstein's background? I don't know. It's either that or the Mueller stuff, and I'll probably read the Mueller stuff after maybe. I don't know, bros. We got to do something. I'm hating the politics stuff. Is like so much horrible as shit. I just don't even know like what the point is of like following politics right now. I don't know what the point is. It's like every day is like new, wacky, ridiculous stuff. The conservatives don't even try like to make an argument at anything anymore. Like this whole, it's just like so transparent, and it's just making me hate other Americans. Like this whole bombshell and you see the model, right, that I have in my head, the vertical resonance or whatever of all the different parts of the media trying to push this new explosive drop about the Obama administration, and it's like they were saying all this shit like 10 years ago, 2017, bro. Like everybody knew that the official line was never that Russia hacked the voting machines.
The actual voting itself.
Based on everything I know, that is correct. I know of no evidence that through cyber intrusions, votes were altered or suppressed in some way.
Okay. The lessons learned and moving forward.
This is 2017. No one was saying this, but they're pretending that like they could create reality before your eyes, and it's just like so crazy. Isn't that just a conman's playbook? It's not no. Here's the issue, okay? There are so many sayings that I've learned that are just bullshit, I guess. There's supposed to be a saying for conmen, all right? Which is, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Well, apparently, I guess these guys can. I guess they can fool all the people all the time. Like, it's crazy. I also did start to read some of this on my own last night. And I just, it's more blatant even than when I, when I remember it being. And I like, is there even any point to knowing that? Like, I hate all of this. Like the COVID stuff is at least, it's interesting. I like learning, like technically in high school, microbiology was my first interest. I think cells and all that shit is super fucking cool. But this shit was just crazy, bros. It was so blatant. The obstruction that Trump was engaged in. Volume 2 of 2. Is that what the section is called? Just on the firing of Comey, it was... On February 14th, 2017, the day after Flynn's resignation, the president had lunch at the White House with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. According to Christie, at one point during the lunch, the president said, "Now that we fired Flynn, the Russia thing is over." Christie laughed and responded, "No way." He said, "This Russia thing is far from over, and we'll be here on Valentine's Day 2018 talking about this." The president said, "What do you mean? Flynn met with the Russians. That was the problem. I fired Flynn. It's over." Christie recalled responding that based on his experience, both as a prosecutor and as someone who had been investigated, firing Flynn would not end the investigation. Christie said there was no way to make an investigation shorter, but a lot of ways to make it longer. The president asked Christie what he meant. Christie told the president not to talk about the investigation, even if he was frustrated at times. Christie also told the president that he would never be able to get rid of Flynn like gum on the bottom of your shoe. Towards the end of the lunch, the president brought up Comey and asked if Christie was still friendly with him. Christie said that he was. The president told Christie to call Comey and tell him that the president really likes him. Tell him that he's part of the team. At the end of the lunch, the president repeated his request that Christie reach out to Comey. Christie had no intention of complying with the president's request that he contact Comey. He thought the president's request was nonsensical, and Christie did not want to put Comey in the position of having to receive such a phone call. Christie thought it would have been uncomfortable to pass on that message. 4 p.m. that afternoon, the president met with Comey, Sessions, and other officials for a Homeland Security briefing. At the end of the briefing, the president dismissed the other attendees and stated that he wanted to speak to Comey alone. Sessions and senior advisor to the president, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, remained in the Oval Office as the other participants left, but the president excused them, repeating that he wanted to speak only with Comey. At some point, after others had left the Oval Office, Priebus opened the door, but the president sent him away. According to Comey's account of the meeting, once they were alone, the president began the conversation by saying, "I want to talk about Mike Flynn." The president stated that Flynn had not done anything wrong in speaking with the Russians, but had to be terminated because he had misled the vice president. The conversation turned to the topic of leaks of classified information, but the president returned to Flynn saying, "He's a good guy and has been, and he's a good guy and he's been through a lot." The president stated, "I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go." Comey agreed that Flynn is a good guy, but did not commit to ending the investigation of Flynn. Comey testified under oath that he took the president's statement as a direction because of the president's position and the circumstances of the one-on-one meeting. Shortly after meeting with the president, Comey began drafting a memorandum documenting their conversation. Comey also met with a senior leadership team to discuss the president's request, and they agreed not to inform FBI officials working in the Flynn case of the president's statement so the officials would not be influenced by the request. Comey also asked for a meeting with Sessions and requested that Sessions not leave Comey alone with the president again. I've done this in sometimes at certain points in relationships. I'm like, listen, if you want to fight over this, fine, we can have this fight, but I want a friend president. We need to have a third party here because we are obviously not seeing. If you have a fight, in my opinion, I don't know if this is good advice or not. Or no, I guess people do this with therapists. If you're fighting with a partner and over you guys are having trouble recounting like what you agreed on or disagreed on in the last argument, I think it's good to just have a friend president. Bring a third party. This whole thing is so crazy. And then he fires Comey saying that it was because of the email stuff, but like obviously it wasn't. Like it's actually so crazy. If you debunk MK Ultra, all the conspiracy theories start to crumble. I thought MK Ultra was a real thing. The CIA was trying to figure out was exploring like a whole bunch of like crazy random shit, and they did some testing on Americans without like good ethics guidelines. I don't know if the ethics guidelines existed back then. I'm sure they did. Wasn't MK Ultra like a product of like was it 50s and 60s? Began in 53 and was halted in 73. It's overblown, but it's real. I think the craziest thing about MK Ultra, what I thought was the craziest thing, was that they would find students, and under the guise of doing some kind of job interview thing, or under the false pretense of doing some type of psychological study thing, they would just have some dude do a bunch of research into the things that you believe, and they would just tear you down for like an hour during these meetings. And they would just like completely annihilate your worldview until you left feeling like shit. And apparently one of the people that they did this to, assuming not eating a bunch of bullshits, was that the Unabomber guy, the Ted Kaczynski dude. Yeah, I don't know. Or I mean, I don't know why I said I don't know. But I don't think anybody denies that this was a thing. Anyway, the Epstein stuff is, I don't know, it'll be interesting history, and there's probably a lot of intersection with other celebs and stuff, so maybe it'll be interesting to read something more human, I guess.
It basically says it refers to a section of unused bytes inside a process memory. So what this means is when we have a program active, we want to check and see if there's basically an empty continuous block of memory within it. If we manage to find an empty section, we can directly...
It's probably like any conspiracy where something happened, which was kind of bad, but people add 100 layers of dog shit to it. Yeah, I noticed it even in my fan base. Some people talk like I don't think that Epstein actually like raped any kids. Although to be fair, I wasn't sure like how many underage people. Although at this point it seems like it was a lot of underage people. I think it's probably true. I think that the charges against him were probably real, and I have no reason to think they weren't. I don't know if I believe all the civil cases necessarily, but it seems like he was probably pretty fucked in terms of what he got caught with criminally. The big thing though that I have an issue with is the idea that there is a black book of blackmailed people that were being put under his thumb, that were part of like an international elite billionaire politician child sex luring blackmail ring, which is like, I think over half of the people that talk about Epstein believe in that. And I think there's no evidence of that at all. There's not even remotely any evidence of that. But it seems to be the thing most people believe. But I don't know, we'll go through it all when we start reading about his wonderful life.
See if there's basically an empty continuous block of memory within it. If we manage to find an empty section, we can directly modify it with the debugger and add some new instructions to the program's execution. The advantages for this approach are the modifications are quick and easy to include, and you just need the application itself to check for this. None of the original source code is required. The downsides are, in many cases, this will result in a modified executable, which can cause the program to crash or malfunction depending on what was done. And the biggest issue, the amount of empty space you'll have to work with is going to be incredibly limited, meaning how much ad hoc stuff.
Percentage-wise, how much truth do you think the Wall Street Journal story is? The one about the letter? I mean, I don't know. My priors would all point to that being incredibly true. I don't know why. Well, in my mind, what's happening is the letter is almost certainly true. I don't have any reason to doubt the authenticity of that. Trump probably just doesn't want to be associated in any way, size, shape, or form with the Epstein stuff. So that's why he fights back against it. That's my guess.
stuff you can add here is going to be extremely small. Normally, you'd never use CodeCave to try and do a complex hack or add program behavior inside it. If you were searching and trying to use a CodeCave, you'd use the CodeCave area to try and find a way to call a separate DLL file where you'd
Wait, what other scientific problems can we give Destiny to read? Maybe we'll do climate change? Sorry, I need to re-listen to this. Do you think that he killed himself out of fear for what they do to pedos in jail? I think he killed himself because his life was over. This is like a disgraced billionaire now who's caught for a second time. He's like he had every reason to kill himself. You don't need to invent a conspiracy to justify that story, right?
which can cause the program to crash or malfunction depending on what was done. And
and he already attempted one time, right? So what did the conspiracy theorists say? That he tried the first time was also, I guess, encouraged by somebody, or I don't know.
Biggest issue, the amount of empty space you'll have to work with is going to be incredibly limited, meaning how much ad hoc stuff you can add here is going to be extremely small. Normally, you'd never use CodeCave to try and do a complex hack or add program behavior inside it. If you were searching and trying to use a CodeCave, you'd use the CodeCave area to try and find a way to call a separate DLL file where you'd have your actual hack or bot code logic located in for this context. And the CodeCave would just act as the entry point for this DLL injection. Also, let me explain what a dynamic linked library or DLL file is too. Just like how you have an executable that's filled with compiled code that your system can run directly, DLL
Wait, fuck. I need to blow my nose 1 second.
DLL files also include compiled code. The major difference is DLLs are a separate file and they can be used by multiple other applications. For example, the code to create a window on the Windows operating system exists in a DLL file and other programs use it. Another big thing is, like the name implies with dynamic, the code inside a DLL can change and the main program the next time it uses DLL will run that new code. Back to the CodeCave, I was DLL file and applications include, just like how you have an executable that's filled with compiled code that your system can run directly, DLL files also include compiled code. The major difference is DLLs are a separate file and they can be used by multiple other applications. For example, the code to create a window on the Windows operating system exists in a DLL file and other programs use it. Another big thing is, like the name implies with dynamic, the code inside a DLL can change and the main program the next time it uses DLL will run that new code. Back to the CodeCave, I was also curious where the term CodeCave is normally used, since this is a pretty unusual and not often used hacking term. From what I found, it seems to be incredibly popular within the cheat engine user-based circles. For those that don't know what cheat engine is, it's a program that allows you to view an active game's...
Wait, I have seen too much evidence that makes it look like Trump probably fucked kids. I think Trump would try to weaponize this against the Dems if he wasn't in the court documents. Also, why is he trying to stop the Republicans from releasing the information? I haven't seen any evidence that Trump actually fucked any kids, and I feel like it would have come out by now. It's just that's so sensational. So many people would have such an incentive to release it. Like, if that information was out there and was accessible to anybody... Like, really, you're telling me that Russia doesn't have this info? Assange doesn't have this info? Would Trump try to weaponize this against the Dems? Absolutely. I mean, they already have kind of weaponized this a little bit, right? Like, some of these people were talking about how Bill Clinton was on the flight logs or whatever, right? Why is Trump trying to stop the Republicans from releasing the information? Honestly, I think he was actually honest because he didn't have a reason to lie when he stumbled about why he didn't want the information released before, which is that there's probably just a lot of names that are brought up because Epstein was a billionaire and associated with a ton of people who didn't have anything to do with any, fucking kids or whatever. And their reputations are all just going to be basically dragged for being even associated with him. Yeah. Now, obviously, if this was pertaining to the Democrats, the Republicans would be running full force with this, but... Is there no credibility to the court claims of them fucking that 13-year-old? As part of when we look into it, we'll look into it, but you have to remember... Criminal investigations have standards of evidence that need to... criminal investigations need standards of evidence in order to get to certain levels, right? So, for instance, to detain somebody, you need a reasonable suspicion of a crime. To arrest somebody or to issue an indictment, you need to have a probable cause. Or an indictment from a grand jury needs to have up to the probable cause. To convict in court, you need beyond a reasonable doubt. For somebody, like, my understanding right now is that most of the big claims about Epstein and Trump fucking kids are civil cases. To file a complaint or to sue somebody, there's zero standard of evidence for that. You can put anything you want in any complaint ever. You just write whatever you want and then sue somebody and do whatever. That's what Pixie's doing to me. You can write whatever you want in a complaint. There's no standard of evidence there. Now, you can see how they play it in court or see, what gets presented or what doesn't get presented or what, if it makes it a trial or whatever. But I haven't looked into any of those with great detail, so I can't say for sure. I'm just saying be careful of that. Somebody said, nah, what about that clip of Trump kissing an 8-year-old kid in the mouth during the 2016 campaign? I don't know how to do this, the thing where, like, if you have a story in your mind, is it the little black kid? Then you can go back retroactively and find anything you want. But, like, whether you like it or not, a lot of boomers just did this shit. This was actually a huge thing with, this was a huge thing with, oh, fuck, what was his name? Tom Brady. Remember? Because Tom Brady kisses his son on the lips. And a lot of people argued back and forth on whether or not that was weird or not weird, or, yeah, I don't know. Old people are kind of weird sometimes.
Those that don't know what Cheat Engine is, it's a program that allows you to view an active game's memory and modify the memory values directly. So let's say you were playing a single player offline game and you opened up Cheat Engine. You could do some simple stuff like find your character's health memory value or level and set them to the max. You could also
I don't know how it is in America, but isn't the fact that Trump is willing to sue the Wall Street Journal pointing towards it not being 100% true? Pointing towards it not being 100% true. If it was, he wouldn't sue them because he will lose, genuinely asking, am I be retarded? If it was an ordinary state of affairs and we were looking at one person suing somebody, then you could maybe draw that inference. But the problem is Donald Trump, when he sues people, he's suing people as the president of the United States. And he's doing so knowing that he has so much pressure and control over so many other aspects of that business and maybe parent companies and everything else. So I wouldn't look at Trump suing anybody as evidence that I wouldn't look at that one way or another, that he might be right or might not be right. I might even count it against him if we had a Bayesian inference approach to it. Yeah, Donald Trump does not sue people because he thinks he's right. He sues people because he thinks he can work the system as the president of the United States to get a favorable outcome.
Try doing the code cave stuff by finding that area of unused memory and try to create a custom hack there. The hack would be fairly limited and simple due to size constraints though. Think something like a God mode toggle. Now, while Cheat Engine can help you screw around with single player offline games, it's not exactly a good tool to use with MMOs like World of Warcraft. The reason is with offline games, all the logic, updates, and variables are only on your system. This is what we call client side. So if something is modified with Cheat Engine, there shouldn't be any big problems since there's nothing else that needs to verify these values and data besides the game itself on your system. With MMOs and online games, on the other hand, the sets up in general being a very different story. MMOs have both a client-side and a server-side component to them. What this means is while the client-side can be the game executable, which will be responsible while it's running to handle stuff like drawing and rendering the game itself, the server will be where the actual logic and values are being executed, read, and set to a database. Meaning, if you make changes on your side in this case, then when those values are sent up to the server to update and save, it will more than likely have lots of checks in place to prevent getting bogus values and to stop cheating. This is very basic when dealing with online requests. Pretty much all servers are built with the idea of never trusting anything a client sends to it, meaning all the values that are made up with Cheat Engine and sent should be checked and verified again on the server before proceeding within a well-built server application. So let's say,
aren't they just going to settle and pay Trump like $10 million or something to prove he's innocent? I would be shocked if the Wall Street Journal settles. They knew that he was going to sue them. He sues everybody. They knew that he was going to sue them before publishing the story, so I feel like they must be ready to fight it in court. That'd be my guess.
say someone tried to go from level 1 to level 99 in World of Warcraft. When the level up event happens and the data is sent to the server will more than likely do something like the following. It will read the current database value that has your level, then it will check your level or the XP amount you currently have and the projected amount you've sent. Then it will probably have some safety and anti-cheating checks. For example, something like if you're leveling up multiple times in one sent data packet to the server, that's a pretty clear sign you're cheating and it could flag you and have you banned at this point. Another example, if you tried sending an insanely high EXP amount that should be impossible to get through legitimate means playing the game, the server might realize you're cheating and ban you, or they might have a safety check and cap the EXP value to something more normal and sane for the game. Regardless of what is actually happening within the server logic and what they have in place, the cheat engine approach wouldn't really work in most cases since the modified values aren't being used and saved directly on your system, but on the Blizzard servers, which as I just explained will have its own numerous ways of checking and determining if these cheat value changes are actually valid or not. So if cheat engine isn't a good option for online games and MMOs, how do people cheat, make hacks, and bots for them then? Well, we're in luck. We don't have to guess or speculate. Since at DEF CON itself, many famous WoW hackers are there as speakers and actually nicely explain all this stuff for us. Notably, a few good talks to check out are DEF CON 19, Hacking MMORPGs for Fun and Profit, DEF CON 15, Virtual World Real Hacking, and DEF CON 17, Subverting World of Warcraft. Also, a quick fun fact as part of the DEF CON 19 talk, Michael Donnelly is a co-guest speaker. For anyone who doesn't know who that is, he's the creator and owner of MDY Industries, and by extension the creator of Glider, one of the most famous and successful WoW bots. He was raking in around 4 million at his peak, and then he got sued by Blizzard and was made to pay 6 million in damages. Anyways, back to the type of hacks.
Wait, he said ranking in 4 million at its peak. So did he make money even after paying them back, or?
Bots and methods used for WoW. We have a few major types to go over. First, we have the GUI-based macro systems. These are some of the easiest type of bots to make. Basically, you'll have a completely separate program viewing the WoW game window and looking at the various parts of the game screen. Depending on what pixel color your program sees at different spots, different actions will be performed by sending the keystrokes mimicking player behavior to your WoW client. So, for example, if you were grinding, you might have the bot casting an area effect spell every few seconds, and when your health and mana bars change color, the bot will know to use your potions to keep the character alive to continue making grinding possible. Another popular type of bot design is done through DLL injection. This was a hacking method I mentioned during the code cave explanation. This is another super convenient method and has few benefits. Since it's running with the game itself, it can have access to data structures and other important info from the game directly, allowing these type of bots to be a lot smarter and more sophisticated than the GUI macro ones. Next, we have the debugger-based ones. These are less detectable than...
If illegal immigrants shouldn't be jailed for net good, should Elon Musk avoid prison for $10 billion tax fraud? I don't know what, I have no idea how these two things connect, or I don't even know what you're referring to in the second thing, and I don't know who's saying illegal immigrants shouldn't be jailed for, I don't know, I have no idea what either of these two statements mean. Okay, I don't know why you're asking this in chat.
Than the other types technically, since with these you'd attach debugger and use breakpoints and remote process memory to control things within the game. Based on most of the talks and stories, this wasn't something that was really done or used, more so a method that existed that some experimented with. Also, a quick aside, back to Jason's grab the code cave comment, this debugger method is technically the closest to his code cave definition, but with the rest of his comments and description, this still doesn't sound quite right in his context. I'll explain more about this at the end. Anyways, back to the bot types. Then we have the client replacement types. These ones are huge amounts of work and generally aren't the first bot type anyone will make. Generally for this type, you already have a successful bot going and you know how much you can auto farm, sell, and buy.
I understand there are weird stories. I just, if you're younger or if you just don't remember the time, somebody linked me this. Fuck, oh fuck, I just read a quote on this. Where Trump saw some 10-year-old or some 14-year-old or whatever, he's like, I'll be dating her in 10 years. Like, it's weird, yeah, but there was just a lot of weird shit. Older people and kissing kids and shit was just fucking, there was just a lot of weird shit. It was weird. The 90s and those times were weird when it came to kids.
Thank you.
Okay, one more time.
Listen, it was a weird time, okay? We were all very strange back then, okay? Listen, don't... we just... Jesus. I still remember I watched this movie a few months ago. Was it called Waiters? No, fuck. What was the name of the movie with... Oh, was it called Waiting? I think one of the huge subplots, or one of the main subplots in this movie. What's the name of the guy? Oh god, fuck. What's the name of the actor? Hold on. Ryan Reynolds. I remember one of the big subplots in this movie was him trying to fuck a 17-year-old the entire movie. Like, it was a big...
All right, see what Serena's doing right there? She's baiting those poor saps.
I love
Taking Natasha.
I think she's illegal.
Yeah, I've made peace with that. Seriously.
Fuck, this is 2005.
So.
But it's self-aware, Destiny? This is not a self-aware movie. What? Doesn't he actually fuck her in the end?
What do you think of Natasha?
I think she's illegal.
Yeah, I've made peace with that. Seriously. Look at her. You know that she has that Scooby-Doo tongue.
Statutory rape.
On the other...
No, he turns her down? He chickens out last minute, does he? Okay, I mean, even if that is the case, then we were in a transition period. That's, I mean, I'm just saying, okay? Not that it was okay, but that there was just a lot of weird shit going on back then.
Extension profit off of. So now you'd make a client replacement to maximize the amount of bots you can run on your computers or servers, so you'd be able to maximize.
People seriously memory hold how weird the 90s and 2000s were with underage sex and stuff. There were popular websites counting down the days until child actors turned 18. Our jailbait was a main server. Even in, not to disparage my god, God, I'm on an FBI list even for Googling these things. Remember when there was wasn't this girl like 14? And House in the differential diagnosis talking about like, oh, that supple, young, perfect ass. It's like, bruh.
Champagne.
I think she's 14, right? Isn't that in this episode? It's like 14 or 15? But anyway, I'm just saying, listen, it was a different time. The world has changed. For the better, generally.
Maximize your profits. This was an incredibly popular approach in China since there's a much larger WoW gold buying and selling economy there. Whereas outside of China, there was a larger bot buying economy, roughly speaking. For more trivial hacks and simpler bots, there's also the option of using custom written Lua scripts. WoW includes Lua as their scripting language of choice and exposes various API options to customize certain things about the game, UI being one example. A side effect of having Lua included is a lot of function names will be in plain text and easier to search for, meaning you can try to hijack or use them for hex purposes. With those bot explanations out of the way, I think it's largely safe to assume the type of bots Jason was dealing with at Blizzard were most likely the DLL injection type since he was pulling them out into assembly. Plus, the DLL approach was the most common method used by the bot makers during this time period, and we have some confirmation from the DEF CON talks for this too. Now, let's go back to Jason's polymorphic code phrase. If we look back at his tweet, we have a big problem here. Jason says polymorphism can be described as polymorphic code. The problem is these are two completely separate concepts and terms. Polymorphism is a program term, and polymorphic code is a virus term. Let's start with the polymorphism explanation first. Let's say we're back in C++ land again, and we have a class called animal, and it has a function called talk. Now let's say we create two other animal classes based on the initial animal class. Let's say we have a dog class with a talk function that says woof, and a cat class with a talk function that says meow. Now let's say we have a list of cats and dogs. What we can do, since both classes are based on an animal, we can grow through them generically and call talk on each animal type of object in the list. Since each one will have their own unique talk function, the behavior of the program will change depending if the dog is saying woof or the cat is saying meow. Now, one thing to note, polymorphism will change the behavior a function has within the context of the code. It won't change the assembly structure of a program, since both talk functions will be compiled into assembly and be within the executable itself. Now,
do you find it strange that Trump repeats so many things but doesn't repeat that he was nearly assassinated? Doesn't he repeat that? I know his fans do a lot.
Now, there is also such a thing as polymorphic code, or more specifically, polymorphic viruses. Basically, some malware can change its own code by using a mutation engine to mutate itself. Basically, each copy of the virus will have its own unique key to decrypt its code payload in slightly different ways to make detection harder. For example, let's use basic math examples to show what I mean. Let's say we want to get the number 4 by using two numbers. We basically have infinite options. We can do 3 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 6 minus 2, 14 minus 10. All of these will result in 4, even if the expressions are different. The end result will be the same. This is basically what's happening with the polymorphic viruses. It's doing the same operations, but with slightly different semantics to make it harder to detect. Now, you might be asking, if the virus is still doing the same thing, why doesn't anti-cheat or antivirus manage to detect it? So I'll give a quick rundown of some simple methods antiviruses and anti-cheat use to detect threats. Most antivirus and anti-cheat tools will check for a few quick and basic things, like the ID or name of an application. Another way these tools will detect malware is they have a huge database worth of assembly and script blocks that are commonly used in malware. So when they're checking over a program and they detect a matching block of code to the database blocks, they can be pretty sure the program is malware. Okay, with all those explanations out of the way, let's go through Jason Short again piece by piece now.
I was one of the guys sitting there pulling down every bot that worked for every MMO that we worked on, everything at Blizzard, grabbed every single one of those, pulled it out into assembly.
All right, so we managed to get his hands on the bot programs, and I was doing reverse engineering and trying to debug them directly in assembly. This makes sense so far, with the most likely bot types being the DLL injection once again.
Grabbed the code key from it.
And we have a problem. The code key being used inside the bot would not matter at all. A code key's purpose is to inject or call other code inside the program. The bot makers don't need to hack their own bot program to run code. This doesn't make any sense at all. The code keys would exist inside the Blizzard game files, not inside the bots. Also, you wouldn't be grabbing a code key from anything. If you have a debugger open and checking a program in memory, you're already in the area and tooling to look for the code cave. Again, you'd be looking for a small area of unused memory. There's nothing here to grab. He's using the term even in his own statement and context incorrectly. And even if we applied it to the correct contents of the Blizzard game files, it still wouldn't make any sense. So let's drop this and go to the next bit.
Remove the polymorphic.
Okay, let's be charitable and say these bots were all made similar to polymorphic viruses. They weren't, but whatever. If you're studying the bot, you'd probably find the obfuscation and check to see how it's decrypted. You wouldn't be removing the polymorphic in this case. If you're ripping out the assembly instructions from the program, you're basically just left with a copy of the bot program, empty and useless. There's really no situation where you as the researcher and anti-cheat guy would be required to do this. So in all contexts, this doesn't make any sense either. Let's go back and finish up the clip now.
Found a way to fit it into Warden.
Okay, now how would you fit this into an anti-cheat tool like Warden? Since it works similar to an antivirus, you'd probably want to copy the common code block patterns you see in the bot into Warden. You'd also want to add other simple detection methods to Warden, like the name of the program or signatures related to it. You wouldn't need to remove the polymorphic. You just copied over parts of it and saved the instructions into the Warden database. So in the future, you could try and detect some users of this specific bot. If we're being charitable, we could say Jason misspoke multiple times in a row in that sentence, and he wanted to say something like the following. We got our hands on a lot of bot programs, and most of them were of the DLL injection type, with the injection method used being exploiting the Blizzard game files directly. The bot makers were smart and added polymorphic payloads to make detection difficult, but we managed to find unique enough patterns to add to Warden to make detection of this bot type possible. Do I think he knew this is what he was trying to say? Well, I think it's pretty clear if you watched my previous videos where I explain how poor his coding abilities are and understanding, or if you watched any of his multiple puzzle game streams where you see him cheating constantly. I think you won't be surprised when I say hell no. And I assume he had no clue what he was trying to say either. What I think is likely, he was just tossing around hacking terms he's probably heard thrown around by the actual devs working on Warden anti-cheat during his time at Blizzard. Moving on to another topic, let's leave the polymorphic and code cave stuff behind us fully, and let's move to another clip everyone has been asking me to review. His next hero, Hackerman's.
Holy shit. You know what I just figured out? You know how in do you remember when I debated that one guy and he was we were arguing something related to Israel Palestine, And I was like, hold on, where did you get this information from? Because I feel like I'm not agreeing with your interpretation on some of these things that, was it like Abba Iban or whatever? I think it was the Israeli diplomat to the United States in 67. And he's like, oh yeah. And he gave me like 4 or 5 sources. And I'm like, okay, can we like, let's look this up. Like what, like, do you have pages written down for where you got this? And he's like, oh yeah. And he sends me his like bibliography. And then we start looking up. It's like, it doesn't really seem like it's supporting what you're saying. And then I find out afterwards, I'm like, hold on. This is not your source, are these 5 different sources. Your source is the Norman Finkelstein book, but you're giving me his bibliography. That's what's happening here. I just realized that I feel like a lot of people that like, a lot of people that call themselves kind of like hackers sometimes are doing the exact same thing. Where it's like, oh shit, like how did you hack that dude's account? And it's like, well, let me just put it this way. I sniffed his IP address out of exposed network that he was on, and I cross-referenced that with a database of blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just like, hold on, what'd you actually do? What I actually did was I paid $15 a month to have access to some forum where I typed in his name, and then they did all of that for me, and then its database just spit out like a exposed username and password. Okay, so you didn't actually do all the other stuff. You knew some of the words and you just said that, but in reality, you're interacting with some GUI or you're typing a name in somewhere and it's spitting information at you. Shut the fuck up, right? It's like the same thing here.
Story of defeating an evil rogue hacker using a stingray.
I turned in a guy to the FBI when I was at DEF CON 24, I think it was. He walked into the room at the lost room. That was the year that I had the key. And he walked into the room and he's like, I need to put this device plugged into the wall under there. And I was like, you ain't doing that, man. And he goes, lost set, I couldn't. I was like, all right, fine, go plug it in. And he plugged it in, put it under the couch. The moment he left the room, I unplugged it, pulled it apart. And it was, you ever heard of a stingray? So this guy tried to set one of these up in an environment with tens of thousands of people on a little thing about this big in front of me. Yeah, it was great. Really smart.
Yeah,
he had done this in a number of locations. The other 2 devices that he had put out had actually been out and deployed, which was a security risk.
Jesus.
I took the device immediately, dumped all the information off of it. I actually looked at it. It had 4 screws on one side and 3 on the other side, so I knew which side was the access point that he was accessing because he had dropped the screw, which was thankful because things like this could be trapped. You know, there's all kinds of crazy that people can do. Open it up on the
like you would put a bomb inside of it to explode and kill you.
The other side, took out the SIM card that was in it, took out the memory card that was in that, popped the memory card in my machine to go look at the logs the guy had through it. And I was like, oh, this is really bad. Took all that, took it to the FBI contact, sat in a room for like 4 hours. They found the guy. He revealed where the other devices were. They arrested him. That was the end of it. And I think they gave me a challenge coin for that. I think I got an FBI challenge coin for that one.
So a stingray was originally a specific device.
It's like you say GUI instead of GUI because you think it makes it sound cool, but it's actually just retarded. I'm pretty sure everybody calls it a GUI. I don't know if I've ever heard somebody call it a GUI before. Maybe some people do in the development world though, and I just don't hear it, but
created by the Harris Corporation, which would intercept and eavesdrop on mobile phone traffic and location data. It was essentially a fake mobile tower acting as an in-between the target mobile phone and the real service provider towers. This is what's considered a man-in-the-middle attack. These devices are in widespread use by law enforcement agencies across various countries, notably the USA, the UK, and Canada. These days, though, Stingray has become a generic name to describe these types of mobile phone intercept devices and not just the original Harris unit. Now, there's a few holes in Jason's story surrounding this. First of all, he sounds unsure if he won an FBI challenge coin or not, which I think is a pretty big issue. My reason being is he constantly shows off his DEF CON badges and wins. Like going to his Potato Sack Twitter account, his pinned message is DEF CON badge wins. If we go to his main Pirate Software Twitter account, every time he gets criticized or questioned, he pulls out his DEF CON badges and wins. His LinkedIn also has all 3 badges included in his honors. His Reddit intro posts also have his DEF CON badge win. He shows them off multiple times on stream.
I need like debate badge wins. What the fuck?
And posts about them multiple times per year. I'm not blaming or holding this against him. Feel free to be proud of the stuff you got. The issue I have is if he's willing to showcase his DEF CON badges and wins basically at a minimum of like 4 to 5 times per year, every single year, why has he never shown his FBI challenge coin? I even managed to find him showing off his Blizzard Battle.net coin, but nothing related to the FBI coin. Considering how much he loves to share his achievements.
What is an FBI challenge coin? Is it if you discover some hacking shit, the FBI gives you like a little coin to show you how cool you are, or FBI challenge coin? They represent the FBI's heritage, honor, and traditions. Whether you're a law enforcement professional or a collector, these coins offer unique insight into the world of the FBI. Okay.
In personal life, he would have shared or talked about the Stingray and the FBI challenge coin at some other point besides this one podcast clip. Next issue with the story is there's no other record or people to corroborate the story. I couldn't find any mentions of a widespread mobile attack at DEF CON during any of the years he was present there. Lost, the owner of the room Jason was staying at while this happened, doesn't seem to have posted anything about it either. No other attendees mentioned there being any other Stingray devices noticed either. It's hard to imagine a tech conference with more than...
How would he get those awards if he isn't eligible in his subject, or do they give them to everyone? The DEF CON stuff, all of those things are awarded to teams, I believe. I don't think there were any individual awards there.
Thousands of people that are all largely tech literate and knowing to practice device safety, and no one besides Jason noticed someone trying to monitor their phones with the Stingray. It's just way too hard to believe. I'll cut this part short since beside the clip, I couldn't find any other info tied to this. Given how often Jason lies and over-exaggerates different stories, I'm inclined to say he's lying on this one too, since nothing about it seems true, and there's absolutely nothing I can find to even suggest it might have happened. Moving to the next topic, we'll return to his time at Eagle Research Group, or as he referred to it, his government hacking. Now, if we refer back to his link, then we can see he did the following: penetration testing, working with sensitive networks, and develop custom tools. Now, we have a few clips to check out. First one.
My general wheelhouse control is physical access control systems, so breaking and entering, Wi-Fi related vulnerabilities, web related vulnerabilities, and social engineering. So those were my primaries when we were on those tasks.
Okay, so he did physical access controls, Wi-Fi network checks, and social engineering. Okay, that's slightly different from what he wrote, but that's fine. Let's check the second clip.
So your government is, dude, honestly, working for the government sucks ass. They pay more than God when you're a federal contractor, but holy shit, is it not fun. You ever published a CV? No, not at all, man. Like most pen testing, this is the saddest, shittiest truth. If you are a pen tester, a federal contractor pen tester, you are running scanners and you're bored out of your freaking mind. Like it is not engaging at all. There's very few times you're like, I get to do something cool today. It's usually like, oh, cool. I'm wearing a suit. I run a shitty scanner. I put together a report. I go home. Yeah, it's 99% writing reports. It is literally 99% writing. Yeah, it's not fun. I wish it was cool.
Okay, running scans to test for vulnerabilities and then writing reports, again, sounds fine. The only problem I have is every single time I manage to find something about him explaining what kind of hacking he did, he changes the story and the things he was responsible for, but I digress. Anyways, let's talk about physical security hacking and testing for a tiny bit. Physical testing is actually pretty straightforward and direct. You're basically going to go around and check every fire exit or entrance or other possible entry point to see if any are open. Are there any points of entry that aren't guarded or locked? In fact, DEF CON has a couple of great talks on this exact topic. One of my favorite stories from these talks is how to defeat those glass office double doors you see at most modern office buildings, with the little keycard employee scanner next to it. Now, I'm sure most of you are thinking some advanced hacking techniques are needed, like figuring out how the keycard scanner works, then making a fake card with the right data on it, or something else that's like movie-esque. But nah, you want to know the real way you defeat those door security? You go and buy...
What's he gonna say? You go and you buy like a bag of groceries or a box of donuts or coffees, and you just sit and wait outside until somebody lets you in?
A cheap $1 spray air freshener or a perfume bottle, and you point it directly at the top of where those doors meet, and you spray a tiny bit. Some office and door combos have a sensor at the top in case of a fire or other type of emergency. So by
cute, okay.
Spraying a thick spray near the sensor will trip up and assume there's a fire and lock itself, letting you open the doors normally without a card, and in many cases, no alarms will go off. So you'd be in the clear to walk in like nothing happened. For network testing, there's too many tools.
I remember in Taken, he got into the... they're not even gonna have a clip of this, I bet. I think he gets into the apartment because he's just like holding a bag of groceries. But there's like a lot of like social engineering shit that would count as, right, to get into buildings. Whatever.
Tools to pick from. So I'll just give one quick and popular example, namely Nmap, which is a network scanner that can identify...
I feel like that's actually a really hard thing to like... I don't know how you defeat that. Oh no, you have to have a physical security guard, that's how. Because in the real world, there is never going to be a building or like an apartment building or an office building that you walk into where if somebody's behind you, you're gonna open the door, go in and like make sure the door closes behind you without allowing them in for like right behind you. Like it'll never ever happen. But that's why you have to have a physical security guard or some other type of way, like a turn. Is it a turnstile or whatever, or some kind of thing to let people in?
For network testing, there's too many tools to pick from, so I'll just give one quick and popular example, namely Nmap, which is a network scanner that can identify hosts, services, open ports on a network, devices, operating systems, and even some vulnerabilities directly. For social engineering, I already...
They tell you to do that all the time in HR videos and stuff, but no one does. Yeah, no person is ever going to do that. It's so fucking awkward.
Discussed this in part 1, but a quick refresher. It's basically pretending you're someone that's an authority or coworker, and you're trying to trick an actual employee with accessing credentials.
Do you think if Pirate apologized right now, people would stop making videos on him? No, he's basically fucked his whole life up. The really horrifying thing about Pirate software should be that he was able to get away with literally all of this and lying about every single part of his life until he fucked up in World of Warcraft.
But a quick refresher. It's basically pretending you're someone that's an authority or coworker, and you're trying to trick an actual employee with accessing credentials to either give you direct access to something or account details which you could later on use yourself. You might also be tasked with sending out internal phishing emails to check to see if the employees at the company you're targeting have enough training and security sense not to fall for obvious traps. And like I mentioned in the last clip, you're not just tasked with doing hacks or scans. A huge part of hacking work is writing detailed reports describing exactly what issues exist and how they will be used to gain access so they can be fixed or addressed in some way. I can believe Jason did all these tasks. Nothing here requires any crazy training or hacking or coding ability. Though his stories about it keep changing, especially after the recent drama started coming out. After it came out, he kept reducing and toning down what he did. When giving answers on his stream, how much was exaggeration, how much was lying, and what was actually true, I have no clue. I'm not super inclined to believe his words, but there's at least nothing wrong with any of these statements here. Alright, last topic, we have Jason's famous Mr. Robot claims.
I don't like Mr. Robot because they took some information that they should not have taken from a write-up that I did on some puzzles that I solved at DEF CON, and then they put them into an episode of the show, and I found out about it. And the only source for that knowledge was my write-up. Don't do that. You'll always be bad. Do you want to know what the solution for that was? Do you want to know what one of the solutions for that was? It was the Puzzle Master's personal cell phone number, to which he got thousands of calls. Maybe don't put things in your episode if you don't know what it is. Idiots. All right, so the reason I don't like Mr. Robot. This right here is my write-up for the DEF CON 22 Batch Challenge. Went viral as hell inside of the hacking communities. And now let's go to Mr. Robot's Twitter. Understand that this was the only place in the world that this was listed. Mr. Robot reposted this right here. That's that same string.
Okay, first of all, Jason's write-up wasn't the only place they could have found the puzzle. Popular sites like Wire have it front and center in an article. DEF CON itself still has it available too, and lots of other teams posted about it too. So no, Jason didn't have the only write-up. There were multiple teams at DEF CON that solved the Batch Challenge, and they all had their own write-ups posted shortly thereafter. Here's a write-up from Elegant, and if we look just a tiny bit below, we can see he also included the pamphlet picture as well, plus the original number series, and the decrypted letters portion. So no, by no definition was Jason's write-up the only one, or even the most viral and popular one. I even went and checked on the Wayback Machine to see how many notes his Tumblr write-up had on August 17th, 2014. This is 5 days after the original publication date. We can see there's 27 notes, not exactly crazy viral or anything. I then went and checked September 13th, 2016. This is one day before the Mr. Robot tweet, and at this date he had 150 notes. Not exactly.
Wait. I found the clip. Why? Taken is free on YouTube? Why? Or is it just because I have a YouTube account with a YouTube whatever the fuck?
Now see.
Look, see? He defeated the lock. Good job.
Exactly viral or 5 days after the original publication date. We can see there's 27 notes, not exactly crazy viral or anything. I then went and checked September 13th, 2016. This is one day before the Mr. Robot tweet, and at this date he had 150 notes. Not exactly viral or huge reach even after more than 2 years of this post being up. Plus, he was posting and sharing his write-up on Twitter and Reddit multiple times during these 2 years. Now, if we check roughly 2 weeks after the Mr. Robot tweet, we can see on September 26, 2016 he has 162 notes, or roughly a 41% increase in notes after he piggybacked on the Mr. Robot tweet to drive traffic to his write-up. Next, let's look a bit closer at the original pamphlet code series. Since we know the puzzle creator is lost, we can cross out his signature at the end. We're left with a series of numbers ranging from 1 up to 25. What's that common thing we're all using to discuss all of this that's roughly 25 letters? I'm sure lots of you have probably guessed it's the English alphabet. We can do a simple number to letter conversion and we can get the following string. Now, let's look at that Mr. Robot tweet again. It's the same thing without the lost handle. This was truly impossible to figure out. My sarcasm aside, this is step 1 of the puzzle, and I mean that step 1 literally. This is part of what Jason is claiming is his unique, only in his write-up knowledge that Mr. Robot stole. He's claiming Mr. Robot stole the puzzle starting line from his write-up. I honestly can't tell if he's being serious with this, or if this is actually just like a decade-long social engineering experiment plus a little trolling mixed in. Anyways, let's pull up Elegant's walkthrough for the puzzle and see what they did from here. After they converted the numbers to letters, they did a row 13 on it. Row 13 is a simple letter substitution cipher. Basically, the letters of A to M are moved 13 letters up, and the letters N to Z are moved 13 letters back. Then we get the following string. The parent pages will help you find your calling, but don't be duped. Cut down the woods, baby air dish. Lost. Okay, now there's a few clues in the string, notably parent pages at the start. If we search this up, we'd find the parent numbers Wikipedia page. Thankfully, we don't need to worry about any crazy math stuff, and we just need the function pfn results, which is the row of 3, 0, 2, 3, etc. Next, we need the second part of the string clue, the woods, baby air dish. If we search up those words, we'd find the air dish woods numbers Wikipedia page. Again, we don't need to worry about the math behind this. We just need the first few air dish woods numbers, namely 16, 22, 34, 36, 46, and 56. The next part basically relies on a separate pamphlet that has additional numbers. Here's what the original DEF CON 1 looked like. Anyways, we just need to pull these numbers out that are vertical and horizontal. If we look at the number set, we can realize they're hex values, and we can convert them to ASCII characters to get the following string. The last step needed to solve this is part of the clue, cut down the woods, baby air dish. So we'll remove those matches, which leaves us with 251, a secret exclamation mark, which is where the Mr. Robot DEF CON 22 Batch Challenge reference stops in the Mr. Robot episode. The Elegant write-up continues for a fair bit more, but let's stop here since this was the end of the context we needed for the Mr. Robot claims. Seeing as we could solve the Mr. Robot tweet challenge using Elegant's write-up, it proves Jason's write-up wasn't the only place that had this knowledge. Now, to some other important points, Mr. Robot has consultants with the tech stuff for the show. If we look at who's a consultant for the show, oh, Jeff Moss is a consultant for the show. For those of you who don't know who that is, he's known as Dark Tangent, and he's the founder of the DEF CON conference. So let me spell it out for everyone. The guy who founded DEF CON and knows what goes on in DEF CON is a consultant on Mr. Robot and decided to use a puzzle from DEF CON, his own conference, on the show. Anyways, another issue, Jason blamed Mr. Robot for sharing Lost's phone number. First of all, this phone number isn't Lost's actual personal phone number. Lost is the main puzzle creator for DEF CON since like 2022 and an actual hacker plus security engineer. There's no way as part of a simple puzzle he'd be releasing his own personal phone number as a place to call to get a clue for additional steps. Second, Lost was happy and honored that Mr. Robot included his puzzle as part of the show. And if we check Lost's Instagram, we can even see he joined Mr. Robot at some point as an additional creative consultant. So clearly there's no bad blood between Mr. Robot, Lost, and the other DEF CON adjacent people. The entire beef and issues were Jason's own made up story. With that, let's wrap this part up. There's probably a lot more hacking stories I didn't find or touch on from Jason, but given how basically none of his stories stand up to scrutiny, it likely doesn't matter too much. Something else to note, ever since the second big wave of drama started, Jason has also gone and started changing his stories and toning down his claims. In fact, in one stream just a few days ago, straight from the horse's mouth, we have this.
What kind of dev work did you do at Blizzard? I didn't do any dev work at Blizzard. I've never said that I did. The internet has done some weird shit where they said like, oh,
hold on. What was that one orange name in chat? Freya or whatever a few days ago, who was saying like, actually, QA stuff in the industry, we all call those people devs. Where'd that person go?
Dev work did you do at Blizzard? I didn't do any dev work at Blizzard. I've never said that I did. The internet has done some weird shit where they said like, oh, he said he's a dev for 20 years at Blizzard.
Seeing as how now he admits to never being a dev and never did dev work at Blizzard, I wonder how long we need to wait for this new confession saying he was never a hacker and we were all lying and putting words in his mouth. Truly insane behavior, dude.
Okay. Oh my god, poor guy. It's getting torn apart.
Because the next set
What
of
is this?
lines tell us everything we need to know about why Heartbound's code could no longer scale. What's up?
Wait, Morgan.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm on YouTube watching these videos. Like, you gotta be careful. That she just walked right in. That shit crazy. Let me see the monitor. Insane.
Okay. "47-minute Lemino video." Fuck that. The Kryptos Code is a sculpture by American artist Jim Sanborn, located on the grounds of the CIA headquarters, the George Bush Center for Intelligence in Langley, Virginia. Since its dedication on November 3rd, 1990, there's been much speculation about the meaning of the 4 encrypted messages it bears. One of those 4 messages, the first 3, or of these 4 messages, the first 3 have been solved, while the 4th remains one of the most famous unsolved codes in the world. It is said that a 5th message will reveal itself after the first 4 are solved. And this was made in 1990? Did they even have ciphers in 1990? Did they even know what it meant to have a hidden message? I thought those didn't happen until 2015. He got him. Sabrina Carpenter with and without makeup. She's a catfish. Don't be fooled, boys. I hate you guys so much. She's not that bad. Really? She wants to be considered hot so bad. Sorry, girls, just not happening. Pirate software just got caught. 30-minute video. Bro, we're good. Oh, this is over him cheating on the bits thing? Rip. She looks good without. She looks fine. This is above average attractive woman without makeup on. 100%. People are crazy. J.D. Vance flew to Montana for a secret meeting with Rupert Murdoch and Fox News executives. Oh, begging them to what? Pull the story? I mean, the story's already published. What are they going to do now? It's not clear what the meeting between Vance and the Fox executives was about. The Independent has reached out to representatives for Fox and the Murdochs for comment. How does like this ownership structure and everything work? So like if Murdoch owns, because Murdoch owns the Wall Street Journal, but then also he owns Fox News. I guess they don't have as much control over their publications as it would seem, because obviously these people are fighting each other. So who knows? I don't know. The discourse is women find Sabrina hot and men find Sydney Sweeney hot, and there's a disconnect. Is that the discourse right now? I don't follow the pop culture stuff. I have no clue. Imagine if Kamala was talking to the CEO of CNN behind the scenes. True! The Washington Whatevers should immediately change their name back to the Washington Redskins football team. There's a big clamoring for this. Likewise, the Cleveland Indians, one of the 6 original baseball teams with a storied past, our great Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen. True. I hear them complaining about it all the time. So the Wall Street Journal is wrong. Hold on, who's saying this? Prompting Trump to rage about the outlet and the elder. So the Wall Street Journal is wrong because very simply, every single country that you're writing about right now is dying to make a deal because the deals they have right now are so good and so good for them and so profitable for them. Oh, I shouldn't have read who this was by because I can just tell by reading this that this is Donald Trump talking because there aren't any other adults in politics that sound this fucking retarded. Trump griped in February about the Journal op-ed with Rupert Murdoch standing right next to him in the Oval Office. I'm going to have to talk to him about it.
And deciding I want to be an actor. It was quite challenging, but...
Up with us, they should equalize. And look, we have an ocean in between. They don't. It's more important for them than it is for us. But they're way below us in terms of money. And they should be paying at least equal. They should really be paying.
Botox Cosmetic is...
Okay, thank you for that 7 seconds of news. The face-to-face with the Murdochs and other Fox executives comes shortly after Vance apparently helped to broker the peace between Trump and his one-time first buddy, Elon Musk, whose bromance splintered in spectacular fashion last week over the president's big, beautiful bill. Did J.D. Vance have the same kind of meeting as he had with the Pope? Jesus. Murdoch is pretty old. That's pretty spooky. If I was Vance, I don't think I'd be anywhere near him.
That I think we have a snippet from one of the conversations that I recorded with Epstein, and I think this was in a restaurant in 2017.
His people fight each other.
Right.
And then have outsiders. He sort of poisons the well outside. He will tell 10 people Bannon's a scumbag, and Priest is not doing a good job, and Kelly has a big mouth. And what do you think? Jamie Dimon says that you're a problem, and I shouldn't keep you. And I spoke to Carl Icahn, and Carl thinks I need a new spokesperson. So Kelly, even though I hired Kellyanne's husband, Kellyanne's just too much of a wild card. And then he tells Bannon, I really want to keep you, but Kellyanne hates you.
I have more than dozens. I probably have 100 hours of Epstein talking about the inner workings of the Trump White House and about his long-standing, deep relationship with Donald Trump.
Well, why not publish that? Also, this is all like pretty openly known. This is how Trump talks about everybody, and this is how he does everything with everybody. Like yeah.
Jessica, last weekend we spoke about it. Interest in the Epstein files and the Epstein case is sky high, and the American public does not trust what the government is selling them. What are we talking about here? Is the government hiding Epstein's alleged client list? Get this, 69% of Americans agree that the federal government is, in fact, hiding Epstein's alleged client list versus just 6% who say that they are not. And get this, a majority of Republicans and Democrats do, in fact, agree on this issue that the government is hiding Epstein's alleged client list. You can never get a majority of Republicans and Democrats to agree on anything, but they do agree on this particular issue. And perhaps not so surprisingly, you get a plurality of Democrats and Republicans agreeing that they are dissatisfied with the amount of information that the government has released so far. What do we...
Intuitively, I don't trust this poll. This is so weird. One, I would expect the partisan divide to be larger, but two, so 40% of Dems, what's between satisfied and dissatisfied? Neutral? I would expect the Dem number to be way higher here. Only 60% of Democrats are unhappy with how the Epstein file thing has been handled? I feel like that number would be way, 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 way higher. That's crazy. This is conducted between July 10th and 13th.
are we talking about this? Well, we're talking about if we look at Republicans and independents who lean Republican, 43% are dissatisfied with the amount of information released so far, compared to, get this, just 4% of Republicans who are in fact satisfied with the amount of information released so far by the federal government when it comes to the Epstein case. And we look over here on this side of the screen among Democrats, get this, 60% of Democrats and independent-leaning Democrats are in fact dissatisfied with the amount of information released so far. And get this, just 3% of Democrats are in fact satisfied so far with the amount of information released. Now,
I wonder what the middle option was. Neutral or waiting for more information or something?
you see this? You see that the plurality of Republicans are dissatisfied. So how is it impacting President Trump's overall approval rating? Look at this, because this one was a bit of a surprise to me, Jessica. Look at this. Republicans who approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing. Get this. In our CNN SSRS poll, it was 86% prior to this whole Epstein saga. Now it's 88%. In fact, the percentage of Republicans who approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing has actually, if anything, climbed a little bit according to our CNN polling. How about Quinnipiac? 87% before this whole Epstein saga started approved of the job that Donald Trump was doing among Republicans. Now it's 90%. So we see agreement between the CNN polling and the Quinnipiac polling. Yes, Republicans are not thrilled with how the government is responding to the Epstein case, but so far they are in fact not taking it out on Donald Trump, at least when it comes to his overall approval rating. Now you might be asking yourself, why? Well, I think this nugget gives it all away. Republicans who said the nation's top issue was the Epstein case, get this, 1 respondent, not 1%, one respondent of Republicans said that the nation's top issue was in fact the Epstein case. So at this particular point, Jessica Dean, what we're dealing with is a public that is very much dissatisfied with how the government is responding so far to the Epstein case. A lot of folks, both on the right and the left, do in fact believe that the government is hiding Epstein's alleged client list, but yet when it comes to his approval rating, Donald Trump's approval rating with the Republican base, so far they're sticking with him, because at this point, even if they believe the government is potentially hiding something, they don't think it's all that important. Back to you.
Good one.
Trump grifters, there's also accountable. But what you've also noticed is while there's the Trump grifters, there's also the anti-Trump grifters. And they don't care about the midterms. They don't care about the next election. All they care about is being right and continuing to get engagement. Engagement, clicks, views, the same thing that the Trump grifters are doing. And it's very selfish, right?
What is, I don't, I hate this expression. These people just care about being right. Like, do you not? Like, what is that?
You're masquerading as these people fighting for democracy. All you do is fighting for your own views. You're pathetic. Shut the fuck up. So what they're doing right now is this, like, I told you so shit. Instead of realizing, oh shit, this is a moment where like Trump's base is feeling like he lied to them and feeling like he's not going to deliver on a promise. Why don't we offer them something and bring them back home? By back home, I mean all the people that were lifelong Democrats.
Well, that's because the Democratic Party is still in shambles. And it doesn't matter if the Republicans fumble or Trump fumbles because they don't have the team to properly recover the ball. If I'm a Democrat, right, and I'm not talking about one of these elite Democrats that have been around for a long time. No. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the Ro Connor's of the world.
Yes.
I'm talking about
Bernie Sanders.
The AOC. Bernie's a little older, like even though he is a leader,
but he's the tentpole of that side of the party.
Yes, yeah. But all I'm saying is,
like, what? Why are you even talking about politics? Like, just go back to whatever other retarded shit, like the longest hot dog you can find or whatever. It actually, it drives me insane. I don't know. I don't care. Okay. Yes, Bernie Sanders, the tentpole of the Democratic Party. Holy shit. Wait, are they really doing it? The coal mines. Wait, why? Really? Hopefully the very talented John Thune, fresh off our many victories over the past 2 weeks and indeed 6 months, will cancel August recess and long weekends in order to get my incredible nominees confirmed. We need them badly. DJT. Okay.
Well, it's good to be with you as well. Look, I'm confident the Iranians will say they're eager to negotiate. I doubt they're prepared to do what it takes to actually get an outcome that puts America first, right? An outcome where, as President Trump has said, they won't be able to enrich uranium, an outcome where they stop their terror campaigns across the world. Those are things that...
I just don't understand how you had all these credible supplements that were being pushed by people like InfoWars and all these good so many years, for decades. And now when evil Big Pharma comes out with Ozempic, all of a sudden these guys drop 100 pounds? What's going on here?
The Iranians haven't said they're prepared to do. The regime is badly hurt. They are deeply weakened by the attacks that President Trump did on not only their nuclear facility.
Fox News' Jesse Waters forced into embarrassing walkback over Gavin Newsom claims. I'm sorry he wasn't lying, the Jesse Waters primetime host says in a rare apology to the California governor. He didn't deceive anyone on purpose, so I'm sorry, he wasn't lying. He was just confusing and unclear. Next time, Governor, why don't you say what you mean? The MAGA favorite said. This guy is fucking evil, by the way. Last month, the governor filed a $787 million defamation lawsuit against what? Wait, is that what the Dominion, is that what it settled for? Was it? It was 780. That's not like a legal cap number or whatever, right? That's just, did he just choose that because of the meme? Which mirrors the amount the right-wing network paid to Dominion voting systems in 2023. Okay, good one. Good one. King. My poll numbers within the Republican Party and MAGA have gone up significantly since the Jeffrey Epstein hoax was exposed by the radical left Democrats and just plain troublemakers. They have hit 90, 92, 93, and 95% in various polls and are all Republican Party records. The general election numbers are my highest ever. People like strong borders and all of the many other things I've done. God bless America. MAGA.
Here with analysis, Republican Alabama gubernatorial candidate Senator Tommy Tuberville and Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Senator, when you think about what the complaints were, a lot of them were centered on the stories that NPR, let's focus on NPR for a moment and news hours, but NPR especially chose to cover. So it was.
Have you warmed up to Gavin Newsom recently? Hell yeah, I have. What the fuck? If I was moving right now, I would go to LA. It would either be LA or New York City. I think I would gravitate towards New York City, but I'm so proud of my wonderful governor. No, well, he's not mine. I don't live there anymore. Newsom, I would just go to LA just to pay him my tax dollars.
Was the plight of transgender kids. It was, the ice flows, getting smaller in Antarctica. It was the various other minority interests. It was anti-Trump. But it was a lot of times it was the stories they covered and not the stories that let's say conservative parents were worried about, like keeping kids out of school during COVID, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, Laura, we did our research on this. We just don't vote on something to say we're going to cut something. And 90% of the product that they were putting out on NPR was left-leaning, very little right. Anything positive about the right was never on. And so we did our due diligence. We looked at it all. We were about 30 years too late. This should have been gone a long time ago. After the internet, after weather channels for 24 hours all over television, people can get their news. They can get their weather. Farmers are not going to miss this. So it's been a disaster. It is a left-wing propaganda network. It is gone, and thank God.
Well, Jason, of course, the Democrats losing a propaganda machine, it's not sitting too well with them. They're mad. Watch.
It's shameful. Simply put, Americans will die because of these cuts.
It's not hyperbole to say that public broadcasting saves lives during emergency situations.
Senator, they are fighting, Jason, they are fighting to keep funding organizations that American taxpayers partly funded and knew and understood with their very eyes were biased. But they think they can win on saying, oh, you killed Big Bird. That's going to be their argument. You killed Big Bird, put us back into control.
Yeah, people are going to die is just sort of the common, week in and week out thing. Seriously, by not having PBS broadcast down in Blanding, Utah, you think people are going to die because of that? I'm tired of paying it. We're $36 trillion in debt, folks. We got to make some cuts around here. We lived high on the hog when you Democrats had all the control. You just kept spending money.
Where was the budget cut? Why is the big beautiful bill not doing anything about this debt? Nothing happened. Why does he think he has the right to complain about this? Shut up, little bro. Put the fries in the bag. You're fucking retarded. I don't understand what the point is of even bringing this up.
He wasn't responsible. And for that CEO to go before Congress and go back on television and start lecturing us about how fair and balanced she is. Are you kidding me? How about looking at all the stories? Because Congress did. And she is flat out totally wrong. And now she doesn't have any money, at least not from taxpayers.
Well, Senator, last year, a whistleblower actually testified it's not a whistleblower of sorts. He's a former staffer of NPR. And he was like, look, there's credence to what the conservatives are saying. The people who work there, the people who, are...
Wow, good statement.
...are there getting paid, making salaries, they all think the same way. I'm summing up his point of view. So insiders were even blowing the lid off this.
Yeah, we looked at the employment of the NPR and the people that were employed there and did some background stuff. And they were all DEI. They were all woke. And so...
All of them were DEI? Every single one?
Get what they asked for. At the end of the day, they thought that the Democrats were going to continue control for years and years and years. And they stuck their foot in their mouth by spending way too much money for 7 years, open borders. Trump gets back.
Whatever Fox News is now should be illegal. There needs to be some federal legislation. No, because we can't do anything when you freedom of speech and government censorship.
back in, and he was bound and determined to get rid of this. Now, it was like pulling teeth to get this passed. We almost didn't get it done because of the 3 or 4 people on the Republican side. It was close, just like the big, beautiful bill was. But at the end of the day, we got it done.
Well, Senator Jason, both of you, thank you very much tonight.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
According to CBS News, another senior staffer under Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has been ousted. Fulcher's removal follows several months of shakeups at the Pentagon since the Signalgate scandal occurred in March, with Hegseth's senior advisor Dan Caldwell and Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Selnick being fired amidst a leak probe, while his Chief of Staff Joe Casper was transitioned to a new role as a special government employee handling special projects within the Trump admin in April. RIP. NPR editor Yuri Berliner, How We Lost America's Trust. This is the guy. You read his piece on Stream already years ago. But it was published 1.5 years ago. So it sounds like that's impossible. Dipshit. This is like a greatest hits of history rewriting that the conservatives have somehow pulled off. Persistent rumors that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia over the election became the catnip that drove reporting. But when the Mueller report found no credible evidence of collusion, NPR's coverage was notably sparse. What a bullshit summary of that. It was a swing and a miss on a major story. Russiagate was not NPR's only miscue. The New York Post published the explosive report about the laptop Hunter Biden abandoned at a Delaware computer shop containing emails about assorted business dealings. Wait, assorted means like bad or corrupt, right? Involving ignoble actions and motives, arousing moral distaste and contempt. Wait, was there anything on there? The only alleged thing was that somehow Joe Biden was involved. Otherwise, there was nothing illegal or anything about it, right? All the Hunter Biden stuff turned out to be nothing, by the way. So that was bullshit. Politics also intruded NPR's COVID coverage, most notably in reporting on the origin of the pandemic. The lab leak theory came in for rough treatment almost immediately, dismissed as racist or a right-wing conspiracy theory. Both of these are true. Instead, we introduced our coverage of that development on February 28th, 2023 by asserting confidently that the scientific evidence overwhelmingly points to a natural origin for the virus. This is true, especially by 2023. I'm offering 3 examples of widely followed stories where I believe we faltered. Our coverage is out there in the public domain. That's just insane to me. So the right-wing reporting on all 3 of these stories was just complete. Like, this is the issue that I have when I argue. I don't know how to accurately summarize the frustration here. The issue that I have is that let's say that for all 3 of these stories, let's say that the left didn't report on these perfectly, or they could have given a little bit more credence to them. Fine, I think that's like a valid criticism. You could say that they should have treated the other side a bit better. But the Republican reporting on all 3 of these was just completely and utterly fucking wrong. Utterly fucking bullshit. Utterly fucking, like, void of all actual investigative journalistic work. But nobody ever talks about their credibility. Why? It's just so stupid. Whatever. Okay. That's who that guy was. Based. Detailed Syria stop. Second phase of Syria ceasefire has begun. Wow. Drone attack on Kyiv last night. Russia struggling to keep up with Western sanctions. And streamer memes.
For this would be 0. And so for me personally, this is the way that I would look at it. I would not allow any migration or any refugees, period, for any reason. Done. I don't view...
Wait, what did you just... Wait, what?
For this would be 0. And so for me personally, this is the way that I would look at it. I would not allow any migration or any refugees, period, for any reason. Done. I don't view it as in being in the best interest of the citizens in that country. Why? Because it wouldn't be beneficial. I would maybe make exceptions for other European countries, but...
Oh, we're on our neo-Nazi arc now? Wait, what?
Outside of Europe, absolutely not. Like, if they don't speak the same language, it's an instant no.
What?
That's it. A big part of this goes back to the root. The government's fucking bad at navigating the current migration world too. It's not bad at all. It's actually very simple. Yeah, it's the craziest shit I've ever heard. Wait, why? I'm so confused by this. Why is it crazy that I don't think that the country is morally obligated to take in a bunch of random people from around the world? They're not. It's ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous concept. I don't even know what to say.
What is the moral obligation that the country has to take care of people like your mom? Like, I don't understand why she should have just been left to die immediately once she was diagnosed with an illness. You can start to make some argument about, like, well, you know, if she's a citizen, and who cares? It's to the detriment of every other citizen, isn't it? Like, your mom cost the United States of America more money than probably 10,000 immigrants did, and all of the money wasted on end-of-life care just for her to die anyway. So what's the point? Like, these arguments are so devoid of humanity. Like, there's obviously good reasons to help our people in our cities, people in our states, people in our country, and people across the world, especially with the resources to do so. Like you can even find a selfish vested interest in not having massively destabilized countries on your border. The whole cutting to the USAID funding. My understanding is Omicron came from basically a bunch of people with fucking HIV and compromised immune systems bouncing around this COVID, for like 6 months and having a fuck ton of mutations. Like, diseases don't respect boundaries. Like, there are so many incentives for us to have stable countries next to us. There could be incentives for us to help other people and to be nice and charitable people. Like, there is an enlightened self-interest aspect there. If you don't want to talk about morality at all, like, it's just such an insane fucking take. Like, well, I don't know why we help anybody ever at all ever. I'm fucking insanely fucking crazy. Like, holy shit.
Really obligated to take.
And then especially with this weird racist, like, well, maybe people from Europe we can take in. Like, the fuck? What do you mean?
In a bunch of random people from around the world. They're not. It's ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous concept. I don't even know what to say. Of course not. Of course they don't. Absolutely not. Doesn't the U.S. benefit a lot from brain drain from other countries? I'm sure to some degree they do, but I don't know.
Who cares? True. Who gives a fuck? I don't know. Who cares? I like how it's just like, yeah, who cares? Who gives a fuck?